I switched myself into the shot without having to do it myself and then run over here because we have a director now. Everybody, Katie Sutter is over there running the board for us. I am very excited. We are getting a fine crew together here, and thank you for joining us on what promises to be a very fun and exciting night. This is Grassroots Motorsports Live, presented by CRC Industries. I'm JG Pasterjack. You are here on a really fun night. We're going to be getting, this is a t-shirt night, and we all know what it means when we're having a t-shirt night. That means we're going to be getting our hands dirty a little bit. We don't want to mess up our nice themed Grassroots Motorsports attire, so we're in street clothes, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. For shop safety procedures in the past. Now, normally, if we were out here in the shop, I'd be wearing these. This is a pair of Crocs with Boba Fett on them, but not tonight, folks. For you, because I love you, I am wearing closed-toed shoes. So thank you for all of the suggestions. Thank you for keeping me honest a little bit and keeping me in tune to shop safety. And I want to give people good information here, and I want to do it in a safe, positive environment. And I know we all cut corners when nobody's looking, and I certainly don't want to cut any corners when people are looking and you guys are looking tonight. All right, here's what we are doing tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about aerodynamics. We're going to do a little bit of fabrication with some aerodynamic pieces. We have our RHR wing mounted on here. This is the RHR Fulcrum wing. I'll tell you a little bit about that, and then we're going to get to this right here, which is a flat plane spoiler that we had cut for us by Shields Windshields. So we'll be talking all about that, doing some of the final fabrication on this spoiler right here, and giving you a few tips on just easy ways to fabricate brackets. You know, sort of some of the things that I use for mounting some of this stuff, and maybe you'll learn something, or maybe you'll realize that you were doing it right all along. Before we get going, let me let you know about a couple of people that make this show possible. First off, CRC Industries. You can check them out at crcindustries.com, all of your automotive and household chemical needs. Of course, everybody's got a can of brake clean in their garage. We hope you have a couple of those, and we hope you know that when you buy that stuff, you're getting a great product, and you're getting a product from a company that supports this world we live in. Also, Koni shocks. Check them out at koni-na.com. We'll have some tech tips from Koni coming up in the middle of the show, and I'd like to thank them for everything they provide to the autosport community and to this show as well. Pengrade oils. If you've got an old car, you got anything with mechanical lifters, you got anything without those modern roller lifters, without a modern low friction internal engine construction, you need that zinc, baby. You need that phosphorus. You need that stuff that was in oils back in the day. Pengrade's got it. You can check them out at pengrade.com. We're telling you a little bit more about them. And last but not least, Autobooks, Aero Books. Check them out at autobooks-aerobooks.com. The world's greatest bookstore in Burbank, California. Lynn St. James was there this past weekend. I hope some of you got a chance to go and meet her, have her sign something. And if not, check them out at autobooks-aerobooks.com. Any of their books, magazines, DVDs, collectibles, you can order online, or you can check out any of their awesome live events that they have every week at the show. All right, so let us begin here, and let us set a few ground rules as to what we're doing tonight. We got a good crowd on tonight, so here's what I want everybody to do right now before we get going. We have applied to this new thing called Facebook Watch. Facebook has sort of a list of preferred video providers, and we are trying to get on that list. We're trying to expand things a little bit here. We think we're providing a great product. We just want more eyes on it. So we're trying to fool their algorithms a little bit. And one of the ways we do that is at the top of the show, I ask everybody to make a comment. Don't care what it is. Mash your keyboard with your palm, slam your forehead into your keyboard and hit return. Make a comment, and that cheats us up the standings a little bit. It does something, baby. And also, because I am utterly devoid of any sort of dignity or class, tonight, if things go well, to keep your attention, to keep you laser focused on what we're doing, my friend Brett Madsen has dared me to clean out my fridge of some of the fairly extreme hot sauces that I keep around, like this ass-kicking Carolina Reaper sauce, like this world's hottest Carolina Reaper sauce, and basically destroy myself all night by sort of taking straight shots of extremely ridiculous hot sauce while I try and fabricate wing brackets. So if that happens, if we keep this inertia going, I will punish my intestines for you people. That is what I'm willing to do. That is how much I'm willing to debase myself. Okay. Thank you very much for all these comments, guys. This is great. Let's start at the top here. Let's talk a little bit about aerodynamics. So what are we trying to do by adding aero to a car? First off, don't be afraid of aero. Everybody thinks aero is this incredibly complicated, incredibly scary, incredibly complex thing. Yes, there's a lot of complicated math. You know, yes, it's this, you can't see air, so it's not really easy to comprehend all the time, but it's really not that scary ultimately. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create downforce. We're trying to create a force that literally pushes down on the car. A couple different ways we can do that. What we're really trying to create is we're trying to create pressure differentials. So in the case of a wing, we're trying to create low pressure underneath the bottom of the wing. We're trying to literally pull this wing down to the ground. The wing's attached to the car, pull the car down to the ground. In the case of a spoiler, we're trying to create high pressure on top of the spoiler. So we can instantly see that we got a couple different factors going on. When we're creating low pressure underneath the surface of a wing, we're doing it by speeding up the air and reducing some of the friction on that air. So that is why a wing is going to be just sort of inherently lower drag than a spoiler. Spoiler, we're creating a high pressure zone in front of and on top of that spoiler, so we're creating a lot of friction in the air, so we tend to get a little bit more drag by using a spoiler instead of a wing. Very general terms, we're going to be going into a lot of these later in the summer when we do some actual wind tunnel testing with some of this stuff, and we may even have some of our aero buddies on the air tonight. So let's take a look at what we've got in place right now. This is the fulcrum wing from RHR. Really, really fantastic piece. And I'm very excited to actually get this thing into a wind tunnel. We're going to be going to a wind tunnel sometime in August and actually checking this thing out. Hollow core carbon fiber construction. Swan neck design. We'll talk a little bit about why the use of the swan neck in a second, but completely designed in the computer, perfected on the racetrack. About 12 pounds total between the mounting stanchions and the wing. And if you look at some of the math at RHR, they actually have some very cool math that shows you that in certain settings, you're talking about several hundred pounds of downforce, 300-400 pounds of downforce at track speeds, 90-100 miles an hour, with only the amount of drag equating to about 10 or 12 horsepower to push this thing through the air. So that's how much of a low pressure area we're creating under this wing, and how little friction we're creating with this wing. So talk about the swan neck a little bit. Some of you guys probably understand this better than I do, but the general science behind the swan neck is, because with a wing we're trying to maximize the airflow underneath it, the top is a much less important surface than the bottom. Obviously, any surface that air flows around on this is going to be important, but we're really trying to be cognizant of the airflow going underneath the wing. So we're trying not to disturb that airflow as much as possible. With a bottom mount wing, what happens is you have, hey Chris, come around here so I can kind of show people the section of the bottom of this wing. With a bottom mount wing, you'll have all this air passing under this wing down here. Now that air is passing along the surface. With a pedestal right here, you actually get a lot of separation in the areas around that pedestal, not just where that pedestal exists, but around that pedestal as well. So with a bottom mount pedestal, you essentially get all this flow separation that lessens the effective area of the underside of that wing. So what's the solution? Well, we flip those mounts over, we put those mounts down from the top, And we don't worry about that, any of that flow separation that would occur by putting those stanchions under the bottom of the wing. So let me get caught up on some questions here. So Rainy wants to know, how do you stale the wing in the straights? You asking how we stall the wing in the straights? We'll talk when we get to the wind tunnel. We'll actually talk a little bit about the drag this creates and about how you can actually get too aggressive on a wing angle and create a stall situation where essentially you lose that laminar flow, you lose the ability to create that low pressure area underneath the wing, and you just get a bunch of turbulence and a bunch of drag. You're still creating some downforce, but you're doing it at the expense of a lot of drag. All right, folks, this is a great opportunity while Chris is over here to show you guys the Autobooks Aero Books bookshelf. A duck knocked off some of my books today. I had to put some of these back, and it took me forever because while I was putting books back, I started reading stuff, and it reminded me of how much I love to read actual books. You can go to autobooks-aerobooks.com. They are proud supporters of this show, so by supporting them, you are showing them that you care about the stuff that they are supporting, and you care about this community that we are in. Even if you just send them a note to just say how much you appreciate them helping us out, that means a lot to me. Tens of thousands of books, magazines, DVDs, videos on anything with wings, wheels, pedals, rotors, pontoons, dirigibles, anything that you want to read about that moves. They got it at Autobooks, and they also have fantastic live events every weekend. They have cruise-ins, they have cars and coffee, they have authors come by and do signings. It is a hub of the automotive community in Southern California, and if you can't make it there in person, check them out at autobooks-aerobooks.com, and you can get some more information, order anything that you want from them. All right, let's take we got good crowd here tonight. We got a fantastic crowd here tonight, so let's, oh my God, our friend Steve Stafford is here, and he said I nailed the pylon explanation, which thank you very much. That makes me proud. Steve, if anybody has any aero questions, Steve Stafford is an aerodynamicist, let's say for a major auto manufacturer's NASCAR team. So he certainly knows what he is talking about. And if anybody has any aero questions, he would be the one to go to for that. All right. We have got a pretty good crowd here, so I'm going to do a little shot. We're going to start off. I'm not starting right at the top. I'm going to start off with this Dave's Ghost Pepper Sauce. This is not one of my favorites. Ghost peppers are actually a little bit between the vinegar and the sauce and the vinegary ghost peppers. It's not the greatest tasting sauce, but it's a good way to get us started on our journey tonight as we begin some of the actual fabrication here. Nectar of the gods. This is going to get really bad before the end of the night. All right, let's do a little bit of fabrication here. Ed, come on over and give me a hand real quick. We're going to lift this wing off. Ooh. I may have started at too advanced a level there. So go. I got the wing. Go ahead and unscrew those fasteners. Yeah, they're all just hand tight. Ed just got a whiff of some of the Dave's Ghost Pepper Sauce. Okay, so we'll set that out of the way. Boy, that stuff on a chip is fairly extreme. So let's take a look at our project tonight. This is this is a piece of polycarbonate that we had cut by the good folks at Shields Windshields. If you recall, if you've been around for a while, Shields supplied a spoiler and a oh, here comes the waterworks. spoiler and a windshield for our Mustang project. I love using polycarbonate for spoilers because, especially if you're using it on a car that you're driving on the street, this stuff, and especially the stuff from Shields, optically very clear. We ran the spoiler on the back of the Mustang, 12,000 miles. It was still optically perfect by the end of the season. And let me show you the template we used to build this. We basically just made them a cardboard template, made a bunch of notes on there, kept tweaking and cutting this by hand, drew our pattern out on there, sent it to them, and they sent the thing back cut and ready to go for well under 300 bucks. So if you're talking about going to a sign shop or ordering like a piece of Alumilite, you're actually not saving a ton of money over using something like this that's custom cut. That was, you know, 250, 260 bucks, cut, shipped, ready to go. And all we got to do is figure out a mounting solution, which we are going to do tonight. Let me get caught up with questions here. We'll get back to the sauce in a second, but we got good numbers tonight, so I'll keep hitting the sauce here pretty good. Thickness on the wing, I believe, is this is 1/4 inch. And they've got stuff in a bunch of different thicknesses. We used 1/4 inch on the Mustang, and it worked out fantastic. So we're going to be using 1/4 inch on this, and we've got to sort of finalize our mounting solution tonight. And I've gotten part of the way there, and we'll show you some of the problems we are trying to solve here. One of the first things we're trying to solve, I'm trying to figure out a way to mount this thing and be able to still use the trunk of the car. So we have these fantastic, nice, stiff stanchions from the wing, the RHR Fulcrum wing. So we're going to be using these as our main hard points. We made a couple little brackets that are kind of not really the greatest looking things, but for a beta version, they're going to work pretty well. And what we're going to do next is we're going to finish out our spoiler a little bit here. Let's get caught up on questions. All right, as if you couldn't tell, I am sweating pretty good, so it must be time for another shot of juice here. How hot are we going here, guys? I'll tell you what, I got this new bottle of stuff that I have not yet tried. Brian says pucker butt. All right, yeah, Brian, I got some pucker butt sauce right here. This is not too extreme, but I'm dying to try this stuff. This is called Maize Craze. Ooh. Should have done this in January. Let's take a pretty healthy dollop of that. This stuff all comes from Ed Curry's place in North Carolina, pucker butt peppers. I'm drooling all over the place, so I apologize. Brett Madsen, this is for you, my friend. You have to watch this tonight because you had this great idea. That's tasty. Oh, this would, ooh, it's not fooling around either. This is your chicken and fish sauce right here. And Katie keeps offering me water, but because I'm hardcore like that, I'm going to keep going. Okay. So here's where we're at now. These polycarbonate spoilers are fantastic, but a little bit floppy, which is fine. Any large piece of material that is flat is not going to have a ton of structure in bending. So we're going to have to stiffen things up a little bit bend-wise, and we can actually do that and add some performance to the spoiler as well by adding just this piece of 3/4 inch aluminum, which is going to serve as both a stiffening rib and a gurney flap. So go through a few questions here. Tony says I have the best wildlife situation down here. Yeah, so we're out in the country a little bit. We have some ducks on the property, and we haven't seen the snake in a while. We have not seen the any rats in a while, but we have seen a cat, which I think chased the other two things away. Yeah, Brett says water makes it worse. We need to have some milk around. I don't have anything around. I have a little bit of, I have some water, and I have some of my my fizzy orange cream stuff over here. Actually, I also have, I am sweating like a pig. That was my first drink, just because I'm thirsty, not because I'm a coward. While I'm reaching for stuff over here, folks, let's talk about CRC a little bit. I told you a couple weeks ago that I actually fixed my MR2 with CRC freeze-off. It is a fantastic, creeping, capillary action penetrating oil, and I had a frozen shift cable in my MR2. Managed to spray some CRC freeze-off in one end, crept all the way from the back of the car where the engine is. Something's creeping down my throat right now. Crept all the way from the back of the car where the engine is up into the passenger compartment, freed that shift cable just by spraying something on my car. I was able to free up a stuck shifter, and that's the magic of chemicals. If you're at the store, if you're at Lowe's, if you're at Home Depot, if you're at Walmart, if you're at O'Reilly Auto Parts or Napa or Advanced Auto Parts, reach for that CRC stuff. Everybody knows about Brake Clean. Everybody's got a can of Brake Clean in their garage. They also make 15,000 other chemicals for household, automotive, industry, all kinds of great stuff. Check them out at crcindustries.com or check them out at retailers near you. Just by buying the stuff, you know you're getting a great product, and you know you are doing something to give back a little bit to motorsport and to give back a little bit to this little world that we call GRM Live every week. Okay, let's get back to putting our spoiler together, and I'll show you what we're going to do here. So I'm using a couple of things tonight that I want you guys to seriously check out if you do any kind of projects in your garage. And one of them is Klecos. You can get a Kleco kit. My pliers are getting worn out, but you can get a Kleco kit for 30 or 40 bucks at a place like Pegasus, any race or fabrication supply shop. And anytime you are doing a fabrication product that involves sheet metal or sheet stock or anything thin that you are screwing or riveting together, these are a fantastic tool. For example, you can see that I've already done some of the fabrication on this lip up here. And Katie's actually eating a plate of cake over there. This is I think the first time we've ever had cake on the show. How did you guys end up with cake? No, I'm not going to put hot sauce on the cake. Yeah, Ed's like, yeah, you are. Not your minstrel. Not here to just do little soft shoe for you. Going through and see if I missed any questions here. Oh, Vince, nice. Vince says it's Nacho Father's Aero. Very, very good. All right, so here's what we did with our stiffening rib slash gurney flap here, and we'll finish this up a little bit. We've got a curved top to this flat plane spoiler. Reason that is because we're limited to, by the rule package we have to run, we're limited to a spoiler that's no more than 10 inches from the car at any point. A 10-inch tall spoiler, essentially. So you can't have any point of the spoiler more than 10 inches from the car. So while we were producing our template, we basically took a 10-inch stick with a Sharpie on the end, traced the outline of the car onto our template, traced the actual outline of the car to the template, so we had the maximum size spoiler available at any given point. So the top of the spoiler basically follows the contour of the outside of the car. So it's curved. So we're trying to take this flat piece of aluminum, put it on a curved surface. So we've got to make some allowances for that. I've got to make some allowances for the snot. Eric, what's there? Did he chug Tabasco? No, man, we're not doing any of that lightweight stuff. We are doing the hardcore stuff tonight. Actually, let's do another one here. What do you guys say? Let's do. I'm not doing hot sauce cake, Katie. You keep holding up the sign that says hot sauce cake. Oh, I will do this just because I want to recommend this stuff to you. This is another one from Dave's Gourmet. This is called Hurt and Habanero. If you've ever been to Taco Bell, if you like the sauce at Taco Bell, this is basically Taco Bell sauce plus pain. This stuff is just really, really amazingly sort of tomatoey rich. It's got a really, really good kind of smoky flavor to it, and it also is not screwing around. I'll do the Reaper one last if we get that far. This stuff I will actually eat because it's good and because I like it, but you kind of, boy, you pay for it, man. It is, oh, that's a lot. Oh, this is not gonna... I swear to God, you guys, if we do not get approved for Facebook Watch and all this was for naught, oh, Madsen. Oh. It's so good. Oh God. I can only imagine that this is what meth addicts feel like, because this stuff is so good, but you also hate yourself a little bit while you're chewing. So, okay, let's see if I'm missing anything here. Stop saying hot sauce cake. Okay, we are... Here's what we've done to try and match the curvature of the top of our spoiler. This gentle area here where we don't have a lot of curvature going on, we were able to just take a bar clamp, bring the aluminum down and match the curvature of the top. As we got out here towards the edge, and if I seem distracted, it's only because I'm in so much pain right now. As we got out here towards the edge, we needed a little bit more curvature, so we had to cut some gaps in here to eliminate some of these, some of the vertical piece keeping us from folding this thing. So we'll cut this last gap in this one and kind of show you how we did it, which means I got to take these Klecos back out and walk you guys over to the saw. If you're ever doing a fabrication project like this, I'm also going to recommend too that when you go to buy your materials, buy about 25 to 30% more stuff than you know you're going to need. And I'll show you a couple reasons for that in a second. But if you're like me, I'm not a plan drawer. I'm not I can sit down and I can sketch something out, and I frequently will, you know, sit and sketch out a rough idea of something. But on a lot of this stuff, I don't really know what I'm going to end up building until it's in place and until it actually works. I've got to kind of assemble things in place to know exactly how they're going to work and how they're going to look. So a lot of my material ends up getting used for experiments. So that's why I'll always buy a little bit of extra material when it comes time to do this. So Chris, follow me over to the saw here. So what we've done is, you can see on this side where we've essentially marked out 1-inch gaps with 2-inch fixed pieces in there that gives us the ability to put a nice bend on there. And on this side, we've already cut a few of our gaps. We've got to cut one last gap here. Whenever you're cutting something out like this, be liberal with the Sharpie. So we've essentially marked our in and our out points of the Sharpie. We've put a little X there to tell us that that is coming out. You can always take some acetone or take some sandpaper, get the Sharpie back off of there. You can never make too many notes on the actual thing that you're cutting. If you're going to have surgery, the doctor is going to write all over you in medical Sharpie, which is just a Sharpie that he pays more for, and to let him or her know which leg to cut off, which leg to not cut off, which organ to make sure to leave in. So do the same thing whenever you're doing projects like this, to let yourself know what to keep and what to get rid of. It'll save you material ultimately, but it will it'll also make your actual production process a lot quicker. So what we'll do here is we just want to cut out this vertical component. So we're going to raise the saw a little bit to basically the level of the height of the horizontal part. If it will stop moving there. And this is why I tell you to buy a little extra, because you always want to do a couple of practice cuts. If you're on speakers right now, this would be a good time to turn them down a little bit, because things are going to get loud in just a second. So we'll do a couple of practice cuts here and make sure we're just cutting through the vertical component, and I'll show you how we eliminate those gaps in there. So see, our first cut was a little bit deep, second cut was kind of right on the money. You can measure all you want. The best way to on a test piece, which is why you're buying extra material. You're buying that extra material to test cuts on, to make sure that ideas you have are actually functional. So here's what we're going to do to get rid of this piece. Is we'll just make a series of cuts in there and eliminate that little gap. Getting noisy again, guys. There you go, a little bit of cleanup with just a hand file, and that will be good to go. Let's take you guys back here. We're gonna take a little break and get some of this stuff ready. And while we do that, going to let our friends from Koni Shocks show you a couple things. This will be of particular relevance to you folks with Subarus or Toyota MR2s or anything that uses a insert style shock absorber. Lee Grimes is gonna show you some of the ins and outs of using those insert style shock absorbers. When we come back, we will ramp things up with the hot sauce, and we will sort of finish our top layer of gurney flap and stiffening rib on this spoiler. And yeah, Katie, take it away with Koni.
Hello, I'm Lee Grimes with Koni Shock Absorbers. Thank you for joining us. Today we are in the Koni America Research and Development Lab, and I'm going to show you a few easy steps for the installation of the Koni strut inserts using a technique known as cut-a-strut. Koni cut-a-strut inserts are performance dampers that are made to fit inside the factory original equipment strut housings when a Koni complete strut is not available for that specific application. Koni will always make a complete strut housing when all the key components are available. But if they're not available, then a cut-a-strut is a good solution to reuse the factory modified strut housing. Today we're working with a factory strut from a popular Subaru and Saab application. However, the cut-a-strut process is the same for all different vehicles. We start the process with a complete strut already off the vehicle. Please consult your service manual or a certified technician whenever removing parts from your suspension. At this point, verify that you have the correct part numbers for your car, as well as compare the general diameter and length of the factory original struts to the Koni inserts. You will need a handful of tools to complete this project. After removing the factory assembly from the car and cleaning them up a bit, you will securely clamp the factory strut into the bench vise. Once the factory assembly is secured, apply a small piece of tape on the bottom to make your mark easy to see when using your pen to mark the center. Center punch your mark as a drill guide, with the strut turned upside down in the bench vise. Next, you will drill a small, approximately 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter hole in the punched area to release the gas pressure and to create a drain hole for the shock oil. Next, we will remove the strut from the vise and begin to carefully drain the oil into a receptacle. A slow pumping motion of the piston rod will help drain the oil. Don't forget to properly recycle or dispose of your shock oil. You will not need this oil as your new Koni inserts come complete and ready to use. After the oil has been drained, place a small piece of tape over the hole to avoid any extra leakage or excess dripping during the next few steps. To make your cut mark more visible, put some tape all the way around the end of the strut housing. On the new insert, measure from the end of the strut to the retention bumps on the insert body. Subtract 6 millimeters from the first measurement and apply it to the factory strut housing, making multiple marks on the tape. Use the edge of a new piece of tape to connect your marks to create your cutting guideline. We are now ready to cut the housing. There are several different tools that can be used for this step. All of these tools, if used properly, will give you the same result. Just be careful and be safe. When the end of the housing has been cut off, pull out the old factory internals and drain any remaining old oil to empty the strut housing and make room for your new Koni inserts. Carefully use one or more hand files to remove the sharp edges and debris from the freshly cut strut tube on both the outer and inner edges. Use a light to inspect the inside of the strut housing to make sure that there are no obstructions. Return the strut housing to the vise in an upside down position and remove the tape. Using the previous drain hole in the end of the housing as a pilot, drill a larger 1/2 inch or 12 to 13 millimeter hole to accommodate the new insert retaining bolt during the final assembly of the new Koni inserts. This is a good time to clean the bare strut housing, remove excess dirt and rust, and apply some fresh paint if you choose. Now we are ready to slip the Koni insert into your modified factory housing. It should fit easily into the strut housing and stop when the raised bumps meet the cut end of the housing. Insert the provided bolt through the hole and into the female threads at the bottom of the Koni cut-a-strut insert. Thread the bolt by hand to ensure that there is no cross-threading. After you have threaded it in by hand, tighten it with a wrench to pull the insert to its final position, and note that the bumps have been drawn into the end of the strut housing. Once the bolt has been tightened and the insert is in place, remove the bolt and install the supplied lock and shaped washers and add a drop of thread locker liquid. Rethread the bolt into the insert and tighten it to the proper torque specification. In this case, that is 40 foot-pounds or 55 Newton meters. Finally, you are ready to install the rubber dust boot by slipping it over the end of the damper to cover the edge of the housing that was cut. This boot helps ensure that no water, dirt, or road grit will get into the assembly. At this point, now you're ready to reinstall your completed cut of struts onto your vehicle. Remember not to use an impact tool when tightening the top nuts over an externally adjustable damper, as it could cause internal damage. Please use hand tools and torque to the right numbers. For more information and technical tips, please contact Koni directly. Thank you very much for your interest in Koni.
All right, I'm gonna. I hope you appreciate the things that I do for you, and I hope you share that appreciation with the people who support us, folks like Koni, folks like CRC, folks like Autobooks, and folks like Pengrade Oil. All you need to do is go to their social media, send them a little note. Hey, post on their wall. We really appreciate you guys supporting Grassroots Live. It's a cool thing that you do. Maybe I'll buy some of your products someday. Thanks for being part of the community. That would make what's going to happen to me tomorrow morning at about 7:50 to 8:10 a.m., that would make it all worthwhile. And I would appreciate that. We're going to do a couple more hot sauces here. We're going to finish up the top of this wing, or the sort of the top of this spoiler, and I'm going to show you how we're going to attach all this stuff. We've got our spoiler cut and formed to the top of this this plexi. Oh, but before I go too much further, let me tell you a little bit about the stuff that comes from Shields Windshields. Now, I know a lot of folks out there build spoilers from Alumalite, which is a sign material that works great. Here's one of the problems with Alumalite, though. It's not transparent. One of the things I love about these polycarbonate spoilers, a sheet of Alumalite's like 175 bucks, and then by the time you get it shipped, you're talking about a couple hundred, 225 bucks to get a sheet of Alumalite shipped, then you've got to cut it yourself. For essentially the same price, you can get a piece of polycarbonate laser cut from Shields that is optically darn near perfect, and spent the entire year behind our Mustang last year and was just as optically perfect at the end of the year as it was at the beginning of the year. And they actually have a couple of different grades of stuff. This is the standard stuff. It's uncoated. It's actually itself very hydrophobic, which means a little bit of water gets on there and just runs right off. Doesn't pool, doesn't smear. Or they've got this stuff, which is what they make the windshields out of, which is super coated, which is a coating that I think they can produce like up to like nearly a millimeter thick, that provides additional scratch resistance, additional anti-fog resistance, additional glare resistance. This is what we had the windshield made from in the Mustang last year. And again, 10,000 miles on the street, with wipers going back and forth across it in the rain, treating it just like a glass windshield. Looked just as good when we parted ways with the car as it did when we installed it. So I am a big fan of this stuff. I do want to give you a tip when you are cutting this stuff, because even on something like this, we had to cut a couple of clearance channels for our wing stanchions back there. When you are cutting polycarbonate, you want to treat it as though it is wood. So you want to use a fairly coarse blade. That is like an 8 tooth per inch wood blade. And you can basically cut and shape it with anything that you could cut and shape wood with. Now the reason for that is if you use a finer blade, if you use like a hacksaw blade or something that you would use for cutting metal, you can get away with that if you go really slow. But what can happen if you put it on the bandsaw and you've got a 14 or a 16 tooth per inch metal cutting blade on your bandsaw, is you can heat this stuff to the point where it starts to melt a little bit, and it starts to gum up your blade. So if you use a more wood-based blade, you're going to clear those chips easier, and you're going to be able to cut the stuff much easier. That's especially true if you're using the cheap polycarbonate stuff like from Lowe's or Home Depot, the stuff they just have sitting there. That stuff is really prone to cracking, and it's actually less prone to cracking if you use a coarser blade on it, because you're not heating it as much, and you're not prone to get those sudden cracks that just run from your cut going out there. So when you're shaping polycarbonate, treat it exactly as you would wood. Let's check for questions here. Yeah, Brett says my face is not red enough. More sauce. Let's do a shot of hot sauce, and we're gonna drill the rest of these holes on this. What am I gonna do? I'm not gonna do the. Let's do. Oh, this stuff is actually pretty good. I say, use that in very relative terms. This is Dave's Total Insanity. This is this stuff is also pretty serious. Now, a lot of these sauces, I have never eaten a lot of these sauces straight. I will frequently use them to cut other sauces with and to heat things up. But I have never eaten a lot of these just straight out of the bottle the way I am doing tonight for you, my friends. But this stuff is actually pretty tasty. It's really garlicky, which kind of makes you forget for a second how much you hate yourself. So Brett Madsen, I hope you have not, I sincerely hope you have not crashed your car into a bridge abutment and feel sorry for the last thing you ever did on this earth is daring me to do this. So I hope that hasn't happened tonight, but I got 2 more to get through, and I'm gonna get through them. So here is, oh Jesus, this was a bad idea. If any consolation, oh Jesus. That one goes slow. If any consolation, I hated myself before I did this, so things really haven't changed much now. It's just that I hurt a lot more for you. Okay, let's drill. If anybody wants to know where I'll be, I will be in the men's room at the International Airport, screaming to God to kill me later tonight. That's where I'm going to be. Wow, we're going to drill a couple of holes here, and just gonna, we've already center punched our holes in the top of this thing, so we're just gonna drill them by hand. Oh, that fell out because you guys are making me do this. Just gonna drill these guys by hand using a step bit. I love using step bits for any fabrication project using softer materials because they give you kind of a built-in burr cleaning mechanism, and they put a nice little chamfer on the holes you drill. Oh, I got a nice little chamfer going on in my upper intestine right now. So we're just working our way from the inside to the outside, folding these down as we go a little bit. Seriously, if you sons of bees don't write Facebook tonight and say, this man suffered for us and you need to give him whatever he demands, I'm writing my congressman. So just like when you're cutting with polycarbonate, you want to kind of drill it the same way. Don't go too fast. Don't get it too hot. Use sharper, coarser bits. Two more holes, we can end the madness. So I can see by the time already we're not going to get all the way through this, but I'm going to drill these last two holes, and then I want to try a new tool that I just acquired that sends a tube down my throat and pulls my stomach out from the inside. Yeah, Dane says polycarbonate spoilers are cool to look at through polarized sunglasses. You actually do get a really cool moire pattern with polarized sunglasses and these polycarbonate spoilers. All right, last hole coming up. I want to try out something. I just bought. Are those polarized, Katie? Mm-hmm. Is it freaking you out?
A little bit.
Yeah, you get some. I wish we got oh man, we should get a polarizing filter for the camera, and we could show you guys what we're looking at. Really, it's better if you put some Pink Floyd on. Okay, so this is what our gurney lip / stiffening rib looks like, and we can see, you know, how much stiffer that made the whole thing between the fact that we have, you know, a horizontal component in there and the fact that this little bit of bend actually puts a little bit of preloaded tension in there, so we can see the whole thing is a lot stronger all of a sudden, just with a little bit of fabrication time. So we're going to pop rivet this on there. Oh man, and then I am gonna go apologize to my neighbors for what's about to happen. Let's let the compressor fill up, and we'll tell you a little bit about pen grade, and I am gonna grab what I think is gonna be my new favorite thing in the world here. I think they can still hear me. Let the compressor run, damn you. Folks, if you've got an older car, if you've got a 240Z, if you've got a Porsche 911, if you've got an MGB, a TR4, anything with mechanical lifters, anything made in that era before engines were very low friction, anything that needs a lot of zinc, a lot of phosphorus in the oil to help keep all of that metal to metal action and running smoothly. Pen grade, baby, this is the stuff. This is the stuff born from the DNA of the old Kendall oil. Very high zinc content, very high phosphorus content, ideal for older machinery. I know a lot of our readers, a lot of our viewers, driving a Z car, driving an original Mini, driving something from the 60s or 70s. This is the stuff. Check them out at pengrade.com. You can buy it directly. It's getting into more and more retailers these days. So if you've got something older, you're probably using a zinc additive already. With this stuff, don't need to use the additive, don't need to add anything else to the oil. It's already in there. Check them out at pengrade.com. We're going to have these guys on the show before too long to actually talk about oil technology and talk about some of the stuff that goes into not just their oil, but all kinds of oils. All right, let us let's go through the questions here. No, Brian, I'm not going to drink oil. What is, all I agreed to do was eat some insane hot sauce, and now you people have me drinking oil. Let's not push things too far. We're going to do one more hot sauce here, but before I do that, while I can still talk intelligibly, I want to try this thing out because I have always wanted one of these. Any project, hey, she's holding the hot sauce cake sign up again. Maybe I'll think about the hot sauce cake. We're going to pop rivet this whole thing together. We still have the protective covering on there, but just to see if this thing works that I literally just bought at Harbor Freight today, I am going to give it a shot on one of these holes. This is an automatic pop rivet gun, and we'll see if I spent my my $60 wisely. I do a lot of projects with pop rivets. I know you guys do too. It's sort of one of the staple construction methods in our world, and I have little hands, so I get really tired of using a manually activated pop rivet gun all day. Need a little more hole here. I got a bunch of these 3/16 pop rivets that are just a little bigger than 3/16. So we will do a little bit of clearancing on our hole there. Bring it up to spec. We will do a pass-fail on the Harbor Freight pneumatic pop rivet gun. Oh yeah, very much pass. I will never use a manual pop rivet gun again. That is fantastic. So this is what it's going to look like when we are done with the flat plane spoiler. Hey, I see Steve Stafford commenting there. Steve, while I get this last shot of hot sauce set up, can you give us a very quick description of the difference between a wing and a spoiler? I explained it a little bit beforehand, where with a wing you're trying to create a low pressure area on the underside of the wing. With a spoiler you're trying to create a high pressure area on top of the spoiler. So, you know, tell us in as few words as you can type why a wing is more efficient than a spoiler. And my assumption is sort of that it creates a lot less friction going through the air, and actually allows you to create as much downforce with less drag. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that, and I will. Okay, fine. I'll do the hot sauce cake. Katie's very happy now. Give me. This is so stupid. Give me the cake. All right, if we're gonna do this, let's go hard here. We'll do a little bit of the Reaper on the cake. This looks like a carrot cake. Yeah, she says it's carrot cake, like that's gonna make a difference. Jesus, this is the stupidest thing. Okay, look, you know what, folks? I see the number of viewers dropping here. I need you guys to throw out a couple of shares and a couple of likes before this Carolina Reaper hot sauce goes on this carrot cake. And in fact, I'm even gonna set that down right now because I don't believe you're actually on board with this. So what have we learned tonight? We've learned a little bit about aerodynamics. We've learned almost nothing about fabrication because I've been crying and sweating the whole time. I hope I taught you a couple things about the way to purchase things for products, the way to or for projects. Okay, that's a great description. So Steve says with a spoiler, you're changing the direction of the air far more than you are with a wing, so you're creating more friction, you're creating more drag to accomplish the same thing. Oh Jesus, that's way too much. Okay. So I have had this. I'm dripping with sweat here. I've had this bottle for about 5 months, and that is how much of it that I have used, because I'll make some wings, or I'll make something and I'll make my wing sauce, and I'll put a little bit of this in a plate of like 10 or 12 wings, and it absolutely just cranks those wings up just using regular wing sauce to fairly painful levels. I have just put a straight up wad of this stuff on the carrot cake here. Oh God, I hate you people so much. Before I do this, let me talk about next week's show while I can still talk. Maybe I'll get through some of this after we're done. But next week is 4th of July on Wednesday. So I don't know exactly what we are doing yet. We might do a show on Tuesday. There's something we're trying to set up with a press car that we may or may not have that we might try and do on Tuesday. If that doesn't happen, we might just show up on Wednesday on the 4th of July. Maybe we'll hang around and blow some stuff up. So we're going to do something. I don't know exactly what day, exactly what time. Stay tuned to the Grassroots Motorsports Facebook and YouTube, and watch our the newsletters that you get. We'll let you know about that as soon as we know. Coming up, and you know I'm stalling right now. Coming up, we got some very cool stuff coming up. We're going to be building our own cool suit. I probably should have done that tonight while I was eating the hot sauce. So we're going to be doing a budget cool suit system that we build ourselves from some parts that we scavenged from various locations. Obviously, lots more cool Corvette stuff. We've got a great show coming up on fasteners. We're going to be dealing with stuff like safety wire, like chemical fasteners, like Nordlocks. We got a great discussion with the folks from Nordlocks. And we've got some cool feature cars coming up that I just shot this past weekend at the Drive Auto X event in Peru, Indiana. I've done enough stalling. Time for the Reaper hot sauce here on the carrot cake. I hate all of you so much for making me do this, but thank you for sticking around. Thank you for indulging this tonight, and thank you for watching. They're so happy I'm doing hot sauce cake. All right, here we go. Oh boy, that happens fast. There you go. Oh man, I don't want anywhere near me. Wow. Okay. Here's what I wish. I wish of all the things we built in this garage, I could build a time machine that would take me back to before I had this idea. That is so bad. Really is so bad. Neither thing is helping the other thing at all. Like, the carrot cake is there, and the sauce is there, and neither of them are great to begin with, but they're absolutely not helping each other at all. Hang on, I just lost you guys. I don't know if I want you back though. Oh, this is so bad. Folks, that is it. I hope you learned something tonight, and I hope if what you learned was this job is nowhere near as glamorous as people seem to think it is, and maybe we made a little bit of an impression. Can you actually see how sweaty I am?
You're really red.
Yeah.
You got redder every
This is bad. God. Okay, I don't care what anybody's saying anymore. I don't care about anything anymore. Folks, thanks very much to CRC Industries. Thanks to Pengrade Oil. Thanks to Koni Shocks. Thanks to Autobooks, Aerobooks. You can check them out at crcindustries.com, pengrade.com, Koni. Hi, everybody. Koni-na.com or autobooks-aerobooks.com. They are the folks that make this show possible. I am going to go away and I am going to die. Brett says you can see how sweaty I am from SoCal. I am so glad you suggested this. All right. David wants to know, what is the hot sauce all about? David, what happened was I went on my personal social media today and I asked folks to watch because we are sort of applying to get to the next level of exposure on Facebook, a program called Facebook Watch. And I asked people that for the next few weeks, could they, give a little bit extra, give a little bit more of their time to watch the show. And my good friend, my dear good friend, Brett Madsen, said, well, I will watch if you will sit there while you're trying to fabricate parts to mount a spoiler and eat ridiculously hot sauce on the air. And I called his bluff, and I am now regretting that. So that is what happened. I hope that answer is satisfying to you, and I hope you come back again when things are somewhat less sweaty. I'm going to go burn these clothes. Thanks very much for watching tonight, folks. We'll see you again next week, either on Tuesday or on Wednesday. Thanks very much to Chris Tropia running the camera. Thanks very much to Ed Higginbotham over there running social media. Thanks to Katie Suttard, our new director, who is doing a bang-up job over there, keeping me in line and holding up notes like that just say, you suck. That basically is what she's doing. She was a theater major, so my improv background and her classical acting background basically meet in just like two bighorn sheep slamming into each other on the side of a mountain, and the hot sauce wins every time, folks. Thank you very much for watching tonight. Thanks to all the folks that support the show. Thanks to all of our viewers. And thanks for putting up with the ridiculous stuff we do. Free stickers. Let's give away some free stickers. I've made you suffer long enough. Here is where we give a little bit back. If you want a pair, 222. Oh, give me a second. 2 Grassroots Motorsports stickers. Like, my glasses are fogged up. If you want a couple Grassroots Motorsports stickers, they are free. We will send them to you. You can go to grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers. It's grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers. We'll send you 2 stickers, and every week, thank you very much. Every week we will choose 1 or 2 people out of that free sticker pile, and we'll send them a little bit of extra swag. Maybe I'll send you one of these towels. A little bit of stuff from the CRC swag pile, or something else we have. Our way of saying thanks to you. Thanks very much, as always, for all the likes and the shares. Folks, that's it. I can't do no more. I appreciate every moment of what you guys do for me, and I appreciate all these guys behind the camera, and it's so fun to hang out every week and have a little bit of fun in the shop, except for this week, which was a hellish nightmare that I will not forget anytime soon. Folks, I'm JG Pasterjack. For all the folks who support the show, CRC, Koni, Pengrade Oil, Autobooks, Aerobooks, for all the guys back here, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next week.